Well, it looks like the apocalypse is finally upon us. Every country on Earth, except Serbia and Florida of course, is stuck under quarantine, which means that I can't go to school, restaurants can only provide takeout, and old people can't go to church and then ruin a retail worker's day afterward. Luckily though, I accidentally prepared for this moment by stockpiling a metric shit ton of video games, and I'm gonna share with you 3 of my choices for the best games to play as we stay at home and wait out this horrific storm together. I've been hearing rumors that we might be stuck inside anywhere between 1 month to, I don't know, 2 years, which means that I've got a lot of time to kill, and I'm gonna spend most of it playing Civilization 4. Civ 4 is a turn-based strategy / historical accuracy simulator with a simple goal: expand your empire and rule the earth, which you can do in a myriad of different ways. You could build up a powerful army and slap your enemies into submission, or you can fill your cities with enough theaters, modern art paintings, and locally owned coffee shops that every other country will accept you as their cultural overlord. You could even put all of your effort into researching futuristic technology, develop a rocket, and just fuck off into space. This game is probably the closest thing that we have to time travel, because as soon as you start playing, the concept of time becomes merely a suggestion as you burn through history faster than the fall of the Library of Alexandria. Pretty much every aspect of this game fucking slaps, and that's exemplified even in the main menu music. Since this is a game about historical civilizations, there are tons of historical leaders to choose from. Once you generate a map, choose your nation, and go through an unending questionnaire, you'll have to make the second most important decision of your life: where to establish your motherland. Exploring the sea requires water and a ship, so if you plop a city along the coast, you're already halfway there. But no matter which approach you take, every civilization has the same basic units to start with. Warriors are the main military units that'll eventually be upgraded into more powerful soldiers, depending on your knowledge of gunpowder, metallurgy, or biological warfare. Much like congressmen, they're horrifically slow and only effective in groups. Scouts will explore the map until they either starve or get mauled to death by wolves, usually both at the same time. Workers are the backbone of your civilization, and they're used to build improvements on your tiles, like farms and prisons. They'll infuse their blood, sweat, and poor labor conditions into every building, working day and night to ensure that every single tile in your empire is covered in roads. Once you have enough of them, they'll start to replace your buildings with even worse ones, which is usually when I start to kill them. Settlers exist only to create cities and be captured by barbarians, and if they weren't necessary for advancing the game, I would hate them. After meeting other civilizations, you can either be sociable and enter trade agreements with them, or immediately declare war on them and get absolutely spanked by hordes of catapults and war elephants. You can even trade technologies with them and ask for their opinions on other leaders, and there's a nice web that shows everybody's relationships with each other, which means that the only difference between this game and a high school choir retreat is the amount of ancient warships that everybody has. A society is only as good as however many cell phone towers and ziggurats exist within its borders, but you can't build either of those without doing some research first. Putting research points into the very OCD-friendly skill tree will allow you to discover new technologies like horseback riding and communism, as well as buildings to improve your actual cities, like theaters and bomb shelters, which are basically the same thing. Depending on what technologies you research, what buildings you construct, and however many witches you've consulted, you'll be more likely to spawn a great person, which is a historical person skilled in a certain area. For example, great scientists can finish researching a technology, great artists will create famous works of music or paintings, and great profits are what insider trading gets you. Every tile on the map gives different ratios of food and skill production, which affect how fast a city grows and how quickly they can finish buildings. Every citizen in a city works a tile, and these can be altered until a city produces whichever ratio of food, wealth, and productivity you want. Some tiles also contain resources like copper, sheep, and incense, which can make your cities happier, and some of them are required to create certain units and buildings. You might not be able to find a source of coal until the rest of the world has started building robots and unlocking the other 98% of milk, but at least you can theoretically corner the market on the exportation of bananas. Overall, Civ 4 gets a YouTube rabbit hole out of 10. It starts off with an innocent video about the forgotten child stars of the 90s, and before you know it, you're watching a documentary about the Great Elephant War between Gilgamesh, Mansa Musa, and Mao Zedong. Killing time is fun, but not as fun as learning new skills, and one of the best games for skill learning is Rocksmith, which is second only to Typing of the Dead. Rocksmith is a rhythm game slash Wonderwall simulator that teaches you how to play the guitar. And you know what? It does a pretty good job. I mean, I've already been playing the guitar for a few years before this game was even a twinkle in Ubisoft's eye, but it's actually taught me a few useful techniques, like how to sweep pick, and how to play Crazy Train on a cheap Fender Stratocaster at Guitar Center. The main gameplay loop consists of choosing a song and learning it with dynamic difficulty, which is actually pretty intuitive. It plays like any other rhythm game where the notes fly at you, but each note is assigned to a different guitar string. Crazy, I know. If there's a part of a song that you're stuck on, you can loop that part of the song and practice it until you either learn to play it, or lose your mind trying to bend a string so it changes pitch at the exact right frequency. Whichever happens first. Naturally, not all songs are created equal, and you'll need to learn different skills to be able to play them, which is where the minigames come in. They'll help you brush up on things like scales, hammer-ons, and speed, and after enough hours of practicing, playing minigames, and developing your rhythm skills, you'll still never be able to play pinch harmonics properly. The default song list encompasses a pretty wide spread of genres, difficulties, and appropriateness to play at college parties, which means that there's a song for everyone. You'll also be given a task list of songs or skills to improve, which unlock more minigames, fretboards, and my personal favorite, presets for your tone builder, which is basically a guitar sandbox that allows you to build damn near any sound you want through any combination of amps, cabs, and effect pedals. Also, because this is a Ubisoft game, it's required by law to break a few times if you breathe in its general vicinity the wrong way. I was able to play it for a few months until it developed psychosis and just stopped recognizing my input cable, and then, like a phoenix from the ashes, it started working again. I probably should have expected that, but if there's anything that you need to know about Rocksmith before playing it, it's that you shouldn't buy it if you're already a guitarist. I learned to play the guitar by plucking guitar tabs along to 240p YouTube rips of Seether songs, and although that's probably not an ideal learning environment, switching to another method out of nowhere felt about as natural as your car mysteriously growing a third pedal while you're trying to parallel park in downtown LA. You can also find tabs for literally all of the default and DLC songs online, which means that unless you need to learn by having music notes fly at you like a swarm of musical bees, the mere existence of Rocksmith is kinda pointless. Overall, Rocksmith gets a Mormon Temple field trip out of 10, because it's only effective if you've never done it before. Okay, fine, I get it. Sometimes you can only stay in one situation for so long before you need to just cut your losses and get out. You could try getting social interaction through MMOs like Elder Scrolls Online or Toontown, but it's only a matter of time before the virus mutates and jumps through your screen, so it's probably safer to immerse yourself in a single-player open world instead. People always like to cite video games as an example of escapism, and when games like Morrowind, Knights of the Old Republic, and Garfield Kart have such immersive universes crafted around them, I can't blame them. Actually, one of the games that sucked me into its world the best was Jet Set Radio, an action platformer slash gang warfare simulator where you and your gang of Japanese roller skating teenagers single-handedly dismantle a corrupt authoritarian regime. I promise, I'm not joking. Jet Set Radio starts with you mainly getting involved in turf wars with e-girls, cyborgs, and furry cosplayers. You know, just normal Japan things. But then, the rabbit hole goes deeper. The conspiracy starts to unravel, you start to find pieces of a mysterious vinyl record, your dog gets stolen, and eventually, you have to stop a bald man from taking over the world by using pieces of a cursed record to summon a demon. Yes, I'm still being serious. Gameplay consists of skating around one of the 3 main districts of Tokyo and grinding, vandalizing, or busting sick-ass jumps off of everything in sight. Once you pick up a few cans of spray paint, it's time to find some suitable property to damage. Just like puberty, you'll need to flick your joystick in a few different directions to complete your masterpiece. But an interesting thing to note is that each character has different joystick prompts. This can range in difficulty from giving directions to a lost tourist to transcribing the entirety of The Great Gatsby in Sanskrit. The citizens of Japan aren't particularly known for their love of elaborately designed dicks drawn on the walls of their cat cafes, and as soon as your neon ass enters the neighborhood, the police will be on their way. They'll start off as a few cops who try to beat you to death, but as you progress, they'll evolve into death squadrons made up of helicopters, tanks, and jetpack soldiers. Is that fucking rad or what? Luckily, in most cases, they can be escaped by jumping to a higher place, filling their lungs with aerosol, or just fucking off back to your garage. Each main area of Tokyo has smaller neighborhoods to explore, and they're all interconnected in some way. Shibuya-cho is the bustling downtown area full of skyscrapers, billboards, and cars that will not hesitate to run you over. Koganecho is the seaside area that's covered in the warm glow of an eternal sunset. It's also home to the sewers and the aforementioned furry cosplayers. Bentoncho is the bustling nighttime entertainment district, full of neon signs, a seedy, mostly abandoned train yard, cyborgs, and probably a few yakuza. No discussion about Jet Set Radio is complete without talking about its art direction, which is easily the best part of the game, and the aspect that kept me invested in the world the most. The entire world looks like somebody spilled ketamine on a Japanese comic book, and every element of the world is distinct and recognizable, and the fact that you can see your art fill the world around you makes you feel like you really have an impact. All of this is made even better by the music, most of which was composed by Hideki Naganuma, whose name roughly translates to, "Music did not exist until I was born." He also unironically enjoys Family Guy, and his Twitter is a goldmine. Please follow it. Every one of his tracks oozes energy and funk, and if he were a pimp, your ears are his hose. The soundtrack also includes music by Rob Zombie and Jurassic 5, and for some reason, it all works out wonderfully. All of the music is mixed together like an actual radio playlist, and it's spun by DJ Professor K, an eccentric pirate radio host who's probably a demigod.
A letter from Mr. Osaki asks, how do I get rid of these nasty roaches? Easy, just burn your house down!
Overall, Jet Set Radio gets a translucent Mad Catz controller out of 10. Sure, it's weird and the fan base is kinda ravenous, but it's colorful, only costs a few dollars, and it's gonna be the best time playing video games that you'll ever have. Well, I think I'm slightly better prepared for the apocalypse now. Thanks for watching. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some existential dread to wallow in.